George Germon grills the appetizer this time at the acclaimed Al Forno in Providence, Rhode Island. Over wood-burning fire, it's the restaurant's signature pizza. Then an inventive entree is served by Reimund Pitz at the Disney complex in Florida. It utilizes a tuna loin and a force meat mixture in a tropical Tuna Danish. Minh Duong from the Monteleone Hotel in New Orleans prepares a dessert called Banana Bavario, a banana-flavored mixture surrounded by chocolate-dipped wafers. Al Forno, the tremendously popular Providence, Rhode Island restaurant, is linchpinned on trattoria-style food. One food writer described it as the best restaurant in the world for casual dining. George Germon and his wife Joanne Colleen designed the restaurant and the menu. Here is their famous grilled pizza.
The execution of it is actually quite different than making a regular pizza. What we do is use a grill instead of an oven for making the pizza. The ingredients are actually quite simple. What I have here is some dough that's been soaked in olive oil for about 15 minutes. Some tomatoes. Today we're using canned tomatoes. And to make my life easier, I've taken two cheeses, Romano and a Bel Paese that I've mixed together just for the ease of execution. I have some chopped garlic here that I have soaking in oil, some fresh basil, and again some scallions and some fresh parsley that's been chopped. To actually roll out the dough, I've taken a pan and I have some oil that's been spread down on it. It's just the bottom side of a cookie sheet. It's quite simple. Just take the dough and you spread it out evenly. And you want to get the dough quite thin because you want to make this crispy. And just keep spreading it out. And if you find that you have trouble where it's coming back together on you, just let it rest for a few moments to let the gluten calm down. Then just go at it again till you're at this point. Now, getting it from the pan to the grill is probably going to seem like the most difficult thing to do, but it's actually not. It's like picking up a sheet, very simple, then moving it over to the grill, and then just laying it down like you would be putting on a, say, a blanket on a bed. And what I've got here in the grill is I got a piece of wood that's just been smoking. It's going to actually add a little bit more smoke flavor to the pizza. Fire working over is usually about anywhere between 800 and 900 degrees. So what I'm going to do now is actually top the pizza with all the ingredients. First thing we're going to do is put a layer of oil down. And the reason for that is it keeps the rest of the ingredients from soaking in. Remember, what's happening on this pizza is that you're building everything in reverse. You want to spread a little bit of cheese on, and you don't want to put a ton of ingredients on, because what you want to do is be able to taste all the different elements of the pizza. Here comes our tomato. Seems a little backwards because we generally put the tomato down first, but on this particular pizza, you put this down as one of the last elements. And again, don't use a lot of ingredients. I'm going to put some parsley on this, just a little. And I'm going to take some basil, just rip it on there. And I'm going to put some extra virgin olive oil on the top. Put a liberal amount on, and just slide this to the edge of the fire. What you want to do now is just keep turning it. As soon as this edge that's as close to the fire will stiffen up, what we'll do is we'll then turn that around. You can't put the pizza directly over the fire because the bottom edge will have a tendency to burn up on you. So you can actually starting to see it bubble and boil over here. And you can see it starting to puff up. The secret of the pizza is to do it as quickly as possible. The longer you leave it on the heat, what will happen is it'll dry out on you. A true pizza should be crunchy and chewy at the same time. And this is what's happening to this little guy right here. You can actually see it stiffening up on you. If you look real closely, you can actually see it boiling. It's actually working like a frying pan like now. Try to get all the edges. It's one of those things that's just not like the oven where you can just put it in and forget it for a few moments. You have to stay over it. You have to pay attention to what's happening. Try to get all the sides cooked. Make it bubble up there on you. Every once in a while, take a look at the bottom. You want a little bit of brown to it. You don't want it burnt to a crisp. It's almost ready to take off. You see it's still flexible. It's still kind of flappy, but it's going to be stiff at the same time. It's very simple to take it off. You just move a plate to the edge of the grill and just slide it on. Last thing that we do is we sprinkle some shaved scallions on it again. There you go, your grilled pizza.
For most of German-born Reimund Pitz's culinary career, he worked at the Disney Empire in Florida. At taping time, he was executive chef at the Disney MGM Studios at Lake Buena Vista, Florida. He has an armful of awards and shows why with this impressive dish called tropical Tuna Danish.
We start out by selecting a center-cut yellowfin tuna and then try to sear it down to about 2 inches in diameter. And try to also make sure that you maintain a nice round consistency so the eye of the tuna, once you bake it, really comes out not only uniform but also really in terms of cooking, because tuna traditionally is served medium rare. But you may make any alterations as you wish in the terms of your cooking requirements that you have.
A force meat which will coat the tuna begins with chunks of grouper filet.
Next we have our lobster, in this case Maine lobster. The Florida lobster obviously is very seasonal, and this particular lobster here is more adaptable as it relates to the various different regions. We did poach off the lobster just a little bit because the grouper does not take quite as long as the lobster does, so we don't want to go ahead and overcook that. Next, we have our egg whites. Add it to the force meat. A little bit of heavy cream, so the force meat is not as dry at the end and doesn't become very gritty when you eat it. We take a little bit of again Mrs. Dash, which is a salt substitute. Excellent in flavor, all natural, and really brings some tremendous flavor to the overall profile. We add some basil, fresh chopped. I do recommend that you utilize fresh in this case because it really brings out the true flavor of all the ingredients that are combined. Make sure that you don't overwork it, because if you do that, again, it tends to, we call it overworked, it tends to get real gritty and like little balls when you chew it. So you want to be very careful with that. The last thing, we take a look at the combination, make sure it's combined quite well. Then we're going to add some fresh cracked pepper to it. And again, I recommend fresh cracked pepper in this case. You may utilize a dry pepper if you want, but I think the flavor here is more combust and really more delicate. Here we have some fresh dill. Now we're going to go ahead and take this mixture, and just work it just for 1 second or so to combine the remaining ingredients. That looks about the right consistency here. So we go ahead and take this off, and the next step would be to roll it out.
The mixture is rolled between 2 pieces of plastic wrap.
Fold over the sides. And then pick it up, place it on the cutting board, and you're ready to roll the tuna loin. Pull it back, very easy. As you can see, it was 2 pieces, so we go ahead and remove one. Place the tuna loin that has been trimmed in advance onto your force meat and fold it over. It's actually a very easy and simple dish to do, but also adds a certain flair to some tremendous creativity. Roll it like that a few times and make sure it adheres to the loin. Set aside, and then you're ready for the Tuna Danish, which is really the key ingredient to the tropical Tuna Danish.
The Danish dough is basically a savory mixture.
The next important step is to be sure to brush evenly some egg wash inside of, on top of the dough. And that particular layer remains inside as you roll up the tuna loin, which really helps in the aiding of making it adhere to the tuna itself. And also prevents any juices from coming out of the dough during the baking process. I think we gave the Danish dough some time now to soak in. The next thing we're going to do is go ahead and pull the saran wrap back on the tuna loin as much as we can. What we're going to do next is to pick it up, place this on the edge of the cutting board, pull back on the saran wrap, and it should go on there very easily. Next, again, make sure that the dough has been rolled up nice and square. If not, go ahead and cut off the excess just to maintain a nice, even, and perfect consistency. Let's do the same thing in the back. And also, we want to make sure that we don't cover the tuna loin with more than 1 layer. And the reason being is if you do cover it with more than 1 layer, it tends to overcook the tuna and therefore really reducing the quality of the product. Next, we're going to pick up the saran wrap, fold back like this, and we're going to wrap it in 1 layer of Danish dough. As you can see, it just turned out perfectly. Fold the ends just like that, and fold it under. And then we're going to place it on a half sheet pan that has been sprayed with some Vaseline, or even go ahead and put some parchment paper on. Next thing we're going to do is just before we put it in the oven, we're going to go ahead and glaze the entire Danish dough with some egg wash to give it a tremendous sheen or gloss, if you will, and also for some additional flavor, because it really provides a great intensity in terms of the sweetness of the dough. We're going to go ahead and put some egg wash, again very lightly, because you don't want to overpower the flavor on it.
Bake at 375 degrees for 15 minutes. Let the finished Danish rest 10 minutes before carving. It's served with a variety of julienne root vegetables, which were blanched and warmed through with butter. The sauce is reduced lobster stock with tomato and basil and thickened with cornstarch. pastry chef at the Monteleone Hotel in New Orleans is a diminutive dynamo named Minh Duong. A native of Vietnam, she is largely self-taught, very unusual in the arcane world of pastry. In fact, her artistry even includes working with pulled sugar. Here is a creation called Banana Bavarios. A banana mixture begins by beating 10 egg yolks, 1/2 cup sugar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla. This is beaten for 3 to 5 minutes. Then melted butter is added.
And then I add 2 teaspoons butter, melt butter in. That's the first step. I take it out.
The yolk mixture is set aside and heavy cream is beaten.
Second step. I have 1 quart of heavy cream. And a 1/2 cup of sugar. Again, mix.
After a few minutes, banana extract and brandy are added.
And then I add banana extract and some brandy. In the meantime, I have an egg slide gelatin. Some water, a 1/2 cup of water.
The gelatin leaves are hydrated or bloomed in water, then go over heat to melt.
Put on the stove.
After melting, the gelatin, along with the egg yolk mixture, is combined with the whipped cream.
At about a few minutes, I turn it on high, and then I turn off. And then we'll add the first step in. And then the gelatin. Put the plastic around the pan.
This is the pan the cake will be frozen in. Fan-shaped wafers are dipped in melted chocolate and will line the pan.
We'll paint the fan.
They are painted with edible gold dust. So are chocolate birds that will garnish.
Yellow cake in the bottom. And I got the fan already all wrapped.
The bottom layer of the dessert is a slice of sponge cake.
And I pour the milk in. That's it. And I chill about 5 hours in the freezer.
The frozen cake is inverted.
And then I use the whipping cream to make a design. So I take first out, stand up.
Mango sauce finishes the plate.